Bob Botanic. I'm with the movement called Decarcerate the Garden State. We'll tell you a little bit about what we're about. First things first, if you haven't signed the petition yet, my son and his partner, friend, are circulating the petition. And if you haven't gotten the paper, make sure you get the New Jersey Decarcerator before you go. Our organization is united in the idea that nobody should be punished for marijuana. And we agree that medical marijuana must be readily accessible to all patients with medical needs. We support total legalization. But we cannot have marijuana partying over a marijuana bill in New Jersey while others remain incarcerated for the same thing, or owing fines, or serving for parole violations for doing the same thing. Legalization must include decarceration.
That's right.
Not just for pot conviction, but for all those other charges they hit you with. Like resisting, interfering, disorderly, when they wobble the charges to get you to plea. Release from incarceration, expungement of records for such conviction, dropping of pending charges, and dismissal of assessed fines. Has to all be part of legalization. Yes. Legalization cannot impose criminalization for those who engage in the remaining illegal end of the usage. There will be many reasons why unofficial marijuana is used in New Jersey, including sharing, access to affordable product, medical access, and that use needs to be decriminalized as well. We know that industry is ready to profit from legalization. Jobs created must be for all. Livable wage, full-time jobs without discrimination. The law must be clear that there is no barring of ex-felons or ex-convicts from those jobs. Legalization cannot perpetuate the economic caging of the formerly incarcerated. We must not wait for however long it takes to legalize. We need to resist now. The continued prosecution, the people being arrested on this very day for marijuana, the $127 million, that's 1/8 of $1 billion spent every year on marijuana enforcement in New Jersey. We must resist that. We must demand an immediate moratorium on all marijuana law enforcement. Not wait for the law for legalization. Now, moratorium on prosecution and arrests. Immediate incarceration of anyone being held in jails without post of bail, and anyone incarcerated for marijuana and related charges. And release for those who have been returned to incarceration for marijuana-related parole violations. Let's mobilize regularly at the modern-day enslavement auction blocks, which is the county and local courthouses, to demand immediate halt to pot arrest and prosecution. Let's talk about crime and criminals. What is criminal and what is not? The arrest of a person for possession of a marijuana cigarette, for him to be grabbed, roughly handled by one or more police officers, to have his hands twisted behind his back, roughly and tightly cuffed, to be pushed into the backseat of a cop car. At that point, already, the crime committed by the cops and the system that deployed them far exceeds any harm caused by the possession of that marijuana cigarette. The arrested is hauled to a filthy bug and germ-infested jail, possibly for the night, and if he cannot post bail, for some indefinite time in a county jail. At that point, the victim could be subject to various forms of assault, including sexual assault, often by the jailers or by other incarcerated. This treatment and humiliation of the arrested possessor of marijuana, that is the crime, not the possession. The system is the criminal. Small-time nonviolent offenders fill New Jersey jails and prisons for the crime of poverty, of drug possession, for traffic warrants and indigence, subjected to bad food, assault, psychological torture, solitary, sexual assault, often by personnel. This is the criminal setup in New Jersey and throughout the so-called free nation, with 6% of the world's population and 24% of the world's prison population. And we cannot talk about the war on drugs without talking about racism. 66% of the incarcerated in New Jersey are black. 66% of New Jersey's incarcerated are black, but blacks don't commit any more crime than white folks. We need to be organizing outside the prisons on visiting day, organizing the families and through them the incarcerated themselves into a unified movement for decarceration. Big crimes get rewarded. Your factory poisons in a water source for hundreds of thousands of people. Get a small fine and a tax abatement to pay it. Chemical plant explodes due to violations of law, no prison. Frack destroys the aquifer, get government subsidies. Bankrupt the world through fraud, get a bailout. Get caught laundering billions for the murderous Mexican drug cartels. The too big to fail, too big to jail, HSBC Bank gets a fine. They say corporations are humans, but when do the humans running those companies go to prison for being willful participants with the gangs that leave piles of heads all over Mexico? And New Jersey is spending $127 million, an eighth of $1 billion a year, tracking down the possessor of marijuana. New Jersey is one of 17 states where marijuana arrests are actually increasing now. We need to legalize, we also need to revolutionize. We need system-changing action. We need to push legislation and system change simultaneously. That is how we get results. Those in power will respond to demands for legalization and decarceration when they believe they have to save their ASS's. Our movement has to be about more than recreation, but about justice. We cannot talk legalization without talking about the racist way that marijuana laws and all drug laws are enforced. The war on drugs is a war on black America. A black person is 3 times as likely as a Caucasian to be arrested for marijuana in New Jersey. The only way to eliminate racism from the war on drugs is to eliminate the war on drugs. The lack of meaningful livable wage employment for tens of thousands of adults across the state of New Jersey results in many seeking compensation in the unofficial economy. For mere survival, many make bad decisions and engage in illegal acts. And many professions, police, lawyers, judges, corrections, bail bonds, profit from incarcerating tens of thousands of New Jersey residents. Thank you. The system depends on mass incarceration, particularly of black, Latino, and impoverished, as a means of social control. The war on drugs was initiated in the 60s and 70s in response to the rebellions and liberation movements that were afoot in that day. If the system can keep those in super oppressed communities in fear of the police, in fear of prosecution, those communities have trouble uniting and organizing to build the kind of structures to resist the onslaughts, like school privatization, gentrification, real estate speculation, the lack of livable wage jobs, and cuts in services that are needed by so many because of the failures of the economy. These communities are treated as if everyone is a criminal, and their ability to resist daily depredations is diminished by over-policing for petty crimes and mass incarceration. The Committee to Decarcerate the Garden State supports today's demand for total legalization. We believe, and we ask you to join with us, that we need to go further to roll back mass incarceration that is costing us hundreds of millions and diminishing our community's abilities to unite and fight for things like, for example, legalization. There is tremendous opportunity for a unified movement between the marijuana community and the communities throughout New Jersey that are targeted by mass incarceration. Our committee drafted a bill called the New Jersey Decarceration Act that sets bold goals for significant reductions in New Jersey's incarcerated population. We call for the release of nonviolent offenders of the war on drugs and small-time petty crimes, economic crimes of survival. We call for setting goals to reduce New Jersey's incarceration population by over half in the next 4 years. Everybody says that we have too many prisoners, and we have to end mass incarceration, but there is no action plan coming from the politicians who want credibility around the issue. We are currently organizing Tour de Decarcerate and plans for major events in 10 of the major cities of New Jersey to promote the New Jersey Decarceration Act and to unify a movement for decarceration. One date we have to announce is November 14th in Newark, and we're very close to confirming an event in Plainfield. Like when we did in Newark on the steps of City Hall before a crowd of 200 people, we welcome the participation of the legalized community. Bring your signs and banners and your literature. Convergence and then unity is the blueprint for victory. Decarcerate the Garden State is joined at the hip to the legalized movement. Make sure you take our paper and you sign our petition today. At this point, I want to ask decarcerators, please, and legalizers, please join our voices. When I say decarcerate, you answer me, the Garden State. Ready? Decarcerate! 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 Power to the people!
We're seeing in Romania. $3 pays 2 for 5. Literature 3, you can sign up for petitions to legalize.